with some mature makeup application frustration. That's a big word. That's a big combination. Application frustration. And I want to come on and show you if you're struggling with under eye concealer, if you're struggling with color correcting, applying makeup, and I'm mostly going to be referencing cream makeup, but this could also translate over to liquid makeup and liquid concealers. I want to tell you what it's all about if you're struggling. So this side of my face I already have done, and this side of my face we're going to do, and what we're going to talk about is how you apply it and how you blend it. All right, fingers. Your fingers are a really great way, a great tool to add to your makeup bag. Yes, your fingers, add them to your makeup bag. Obviously, wash your hands before you do all of this. We all know that. But what we want to do is use our fingers quite a bit, especially with mature skin. We want to make sure we're using and taking advantage of a damp, prepared perfector sponge or a beauty blender. And then it's also about how you use brushes and what type of brushes. So that's what we're going to talk about. And we're going to do this side of our face. We're going to color correct, conceal, contour, lip and cheek, and even some eyeshadow. All right. Well, if you haven't met me before, welcome. I hope you stay around for this. My name's Karen, and I love teaching about mature skin, makeup, and sharing tips. So let's get going. All right. So the first thing I want to talk about is applying contour, if you are into wearing contour, and how to use and apply the makeup contour, if it's cream especially. All right, so one thing, if you have a shorter forehead, you don't need to put contour up here. If you wear your bangs, you don't need to put contour up. So all of this is what I want to get in to us, is that it's based on you. So when you see anybody, including me or younger gals or anybody applying or doing makeup, just because they put contour up here doesn't mean you do contour up there. Just because they do it a certain way or swipe it here or swipe it there. I want you to look at your own face, and you need to determine where you need the makeup and why, okay? So why do we wear contour? Well, contour is basically to add a shadow. So if you do have a taller forehead like I do, a longer forehead or taller, whatever you want to call it, adding a shadow up here along your hairline helps drop the eye and lower that forehead and kind of frame the face. If you have a wider face, you can bring contour down. If you have more of a hollowed out side of your face and narrow, don't bring your contour down. So what I'm getting at here is that what you see another woman or a younger gal or whoever you see doing tutorials, we're not going to copy them exactly. We're going to learn why they're doing it. Hopefully they're sharing why they're doing it. And then we're going to learn how that's going to work for you, right? Because all of us look different and all of us have different issues with our skin and all of that. Okay, so contour, if you have a taller forehead, it's going to just bring your forehead down, frame the face. So I want to also talk about how you apply makeup with the, versus tapping and pressing versus a swiping motion. So you may see a lot of gals swipe their contour on like this. They'll tap it in and they'll go swipe, 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 swipe. Well, I suggest if that's not working for you that you try pressing. So even if a brush is much wider, you can just pinch the brush. You can make it work for you and just press instead of doing the swiping. So since a lot of us have texture and things like that along the side of our face, usually around our temples and our jaw and ear from sun damage and things, pressing is going to make a really big difference versus swiping. And whenever we swipe makeup on and we have wrinkles or thinner skin or texture, we're just kind of, that's where you start to see it settle into those lines. But if you press, you're actually pressing it on, you're getting much nicer coverage. It's going to be a little bit more skin-like. And see all those wrinkles? If I was swiping, look at all that stuff. So we don't want to do that, but I'm just going ahead and pressing it in, okay? Same thing down here. Now you could, if you wanted to, because your jawline usually, you know, you have a jaw there that kind of makes it a little taunter, but the same concept, kind of doing the swiping back and forth without really even thinking. That's another thing. Take a minute and look at your jawline and your cheekbones, and don't just go in and start swiping. Stop and say, well, where do I need to place contour? Okay, well, I want a more lifted cheek, so I'm going to place it like this. Down here, well, you know, I have a little jowl that dips in And there we go. So I'm going to place my contour along my jawline from here back. So I'm going to tap in and I'm going to just kind of press it right along my jawline. But I'm going to stop kind of right there because I don't want to make that look even deeper and emphasize my jowls. And then I'm going to bring it down and bring it down my neck. Okay. So that is important to do that. Okay. So easy to press it on, but also looking at your own face and deciding where do I need the product and why would I wear it that way. Okay. So pressing, no swiping. That's one tip. So another tip I want to talk about is adding any type of color correcting or, you know, this orangey peachy type shades that we like to call them color correctors to help with maybe under eye discoloration, maybe darker sunspots. Maybe you have areas that are very red and things like that. So if that is the case, again, and you see somebody come in and maybe swipe their finger into something and just swipe it all underneath, and or take a tube of color corrector and just rub it all under, I want you to stop again and ask yourself, well, do I need color corrector completely underneath my eye? So you want to look at your eye and what discoloration you want to color correct and decide, where do I need it? So you look at yourself and you decide, well, I think I need a little right here and a little out here, but you know, really here looks fine, right? I know I need some on, you know, I've got a big sunspot here, I need some here. And another thing I want to talk about is using it not full force. So don't use things directly out of the bottle. So if you have a tube of color corrector or a bottle of liquid makeup with a wand or a little spongy thing, or even here where you're having cream makeups like I use and taking either a brush or your finger and using it directly to your skin, it's too much makeup. And that's the other tip on how to apply, okay? So use your finger, but what I want you to do is get yourself like a sheer cream or even a lightweight eye cream if you're using underneath the eyes, or even take a little bit of setting spray and spritz it in your lid of the setting spray and then just tap your finger so you have a little bit of setting spray on your hand. I prefer to use like a sheer cream, and so this is called a balm, and I'm going to put some on the back of my hand. And even if you don't mix it with a balm or a cream of some kind, just taking the product out of here and placing it on your back of your hand first is good. You're going to tap in and you're going to apply so much less, because most makeup like this is very pigmented and there's no reason why I need to, one, waste it, but really the reason is I don't want to just willy-nilly start swiping on and applying or liquid and rubbing it makeup that I don't need. If I don't need it in a certain area, then I don't need to apply it there. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit here out of the pan. This is a little color corrector shade. I have it on my finger. I'm going to go on the back of my hand, kind of right here. I'm going to swipe it there, and then I'm going to tap. So I can use it directly first, or if I have a lot of texture or under eye, crepiness, then add in either a little bit of setting spray to the product just to kind of make it a little bit more, well, I guess kind of sheer also. But not only sheer, but just helps to pat it, to press it in, and for you to use less, because we don't need a lot. We really don't. You know, we actually think, I think sometimes when we get older, we think, oh, well, I need more makeup. You know, I've got so many issues, I need more makeup. When in fact, we just need to use the right shades of makeup that can do the right tasks in the right way, okay? So again, using a sheer cream like this, which is a balm, it's called balm, or a light eye cream, and applying off of your hand is important. Same thing goes when you are doing like a brightener or a color or a concealer, you know, something that's really light. Same thing, if we see someone take a brush like this and tap into that brush and then go swipe, 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 I want to ask yourself, you need to ask yourself, I'm not going to ask yourself, you need to ask yourself, do I need to add a big old swipe of light color right here, what does my skin look like? What does my face look like? You know, do I have a lot of texture here that maybe I don't want a big old swipe of a light concealer right here? Maybe I have a lot of like these wrinkles and these fine lines, and taking a really light color and swiping it there is just going to emphasize that. Maybe up here on my forehead, I have a lot of pores and number 11s, and taking a big swipe of a makeup and swiping it on, that's not the answer. So for me, for you, so you need to decide. So I like, again, to take my finger and I'm going to tap into my my concealer, brightener. I never call it concealer because I feel like it doesn't conceal. And then first thing I'll do is I'll put it on the back of my hand. So see how, look at that. That's so much. Tap, kind of tap it around so you just have a little bit on your finger. Then you decide, well, where do I want some brightener? Well, you know, I'm kind of dark and kind of, I don't know, looking a little grayish through here, a little sallow right through there. So I'm going to take a little bit of that and I'm going to pick it up from the back of my hand, and now I'm just going to tap it on. Now, if I get too much, I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to continue to press and tap that on. Let's say I want some brightness over here for a lift, but I don't want it to get into these crow's feet or these laugh lines. Then I might take, you know, some of the sheer color, pick a little bit of a sheer, not color, but a sheer cream, put that on the back of my hand, pick up a little bit of that, or take it out of the bottle or the tube, whatever you're working with, and kind of mix those two together. And then I'll come out here and I'll apply some light and some concealer and some brightness out here, okay? Maybe I want a little bit up here at the top of underneath my brow, or maybe even underneath my eye here a little bit, down under where I have kind of more of some eye bags, and I'm just gonna press. So there we have it, making it a little bit less of just a willy-nilly applying it where we don't need it or applying too much, okay? The other key that's going to help you a lot is to use, especially if you're using cream makeup, is to use a damp beauty blender. When I mean damp, I mean it's really not damp even. It was wet originally and I wrung it out and I put it in between a towel and then I let it sit, you know, for several hours, something you want to do in the morning, or even maybe do it overnight. Sometimes if I just get my perfector sponge or my beauty blender wet and I fill it up and I rinse it out and I clean it for the night and it's just wet, I just set it on my dish towel and I just let it air dry overnight. And then behold, in the morning when I go to do makeup, it's perfectly soft, poofy, and it's just lightly damp. This is a key, is to use this to press and lift any makeup into our mature skin where we may feel like we put a little bit too much or we're seeing texture, is to press in. And really I'm just tapping and pressing. I'm not rubbing it off. I'm just pressing that in to help. So that's key, is to get yourself a beauty blender, or this is a perfector sponge that I use. I love it. Okay, so back to applying your main shade, okay, using a brush. First off, we want to use the least amount possible. So again, we don't want to take a brush like this and swipe in to the makeup and then start swiping it all over. That's going to be way too much makeup on our face. First of all, I just wasted so much makeup and that is just a mess. I'm going to have to clean that brush out. I'm going to take a brush like this and I'm going to just tap in, just tap, tap, and then I'm going to do that tapping or stippling motion where I would need foundation coverage. So you decide, you look at your face and you say, well, where do I need some? Okay, so I need a little here, right here across my nose, underneath my eye here, on my cheeks, my, high parts of this cheek area, down here on my chin, I definitely want some, and I'm pressing and stippling it in instead of swiping it on, and definitely along here, and up here. So we're just going to determine how much do you need, but see this motion here, this is like the best way to apply your makeup. I mean, if you want to use your fingers and take it out and actually, dot it on or swipe on makeup like that, that is fine, but you're going to have to work a little bit harder to now move all that thick line of makeup that you put. So then you need to still take a brush, and now you need to go in and you still need to press and get that cream makeup, especially if you're using cream, to move, okay? And so now I'm just using whatever I swiped here, and I'm getting it to move because it's sitting on top of my skin, and so I'm kind of doing a lot more work at this point to just blend in those 3 little swipes I put there. When if I would have just tapped in and used my brush, that would have been so much easier. All right, this sunspot here, you know, same thing, like color correcting or trying to cover things like that. You know, first start with just a little bit of a shade that you're, you know, if you have a shade that's kind of this peachy color, just put it again on the back of your hand. And then I don't really need it all over the side of my face here. I just need it pressed in over that sunspot. So kind of build it up by pressing it in where you need it. And then you can go back in if I need, maybe I need a little bit of my main shade over the top, just for that extra coverage. But I don't want to have a lot of makeup, you know, just in one spot. So you really want to just kind of use your fingers and or go back in and press in with your sponge to kind of help lessen the appearance of that discoloration that you have, okay? All right, I don't want to keep you too long. I want you to kind of get some of this. What about, let's see here, what do we got here? What about lip and blush and things like that? So I think it's so much easier to apply lip color with a brush, like a lip brush or a line brush, but you can apply it quickly with your finger. You know, just take a color that you like, you can even mix them, and just tap them on or blend them on your lips. Nice thing is with cream like this is that you can use it for both lip and cheek, which is so great. So placement on your cheeks, again, you know, not all of us maybe want to put our cheek color on the apples of our cheeks. Some of us do. It depends on if you want more of a fuller cheek, or do you want more of a lifted cheek, or you just need to look and see, well, where are my cheeks? You know, my face is shorter or rounder or more square or more heart-shaped. So you want to determine, and a great way to do that is by placement on where your eye is. So if you look straight into your mirror and you look down, here's the outside of my eye, and I come straight down, and here's where I had my contour, or this part of my ear, you know, from the top of the ear to the bottom of your mouth. So you've kind of got this little shape, this, I guess it's, what is that, a triangle? So I like to just use my outside of my eye. So I'll take my finger and dab in, and I'll come straight down, and I'll put a dot. I love to mix blush, so I'll take another one now that I have this one, and I can put one here, and one that's a little different color, a little more sheer, one here, and then I can put one here. So now I've got my blush kind of going up this way, starting about here, and then I'll just, again, take my brush and start pressing. Again, if we start rubbing, two things could happen. If we start swiping, we can either disturb and move all that makeup underneath, maybe we had color corrected under here or something. A lot of times we end up removing all of the blush and blending it too much when we do this type of thing. A lot of times if we have, you know, again, texture and things like that in this area, we're really just getting that blush to not blend well. It's looking patchy. But if you use your brushes and to stipple and press, and then just kind of keep moving that around, you can bring it up. That'll get you a really nice blend without it looking, again, too cakey or not looking patchy and things like that. So that's really a great way to do that. So finally, we did that. Let me show you just really quick some eyeshadow. Same thing, you can do just a really quick eyeshadow. I'm gonna grab a eyeshadow brush, and I'm just going to pick up a little bit of this kind of pink color. It's just a matte pink, has no shimmer in this one, and I'm going to use this one to go on my lid, but instead of swiping it on, again, if you can pick up on the cue here, it's swiping versus stippling, and we are, as mature women, need to be on team stipple or press. So please be on team stipple or press, and I'm going to do that on my eye as well. Even though this is a fluffy brush that I could swipe back and forth and do this windshield wiper, well, you know, my eyelids have a lot of crepiness. They're very thin, and I don't get really nice coverage when I swipe back and forth. It skips again all over that, okay? So take and just do this. Oh, thank you. I'm glad that was a good tip. Yes. So then, now what I can do is kind of the same thing, is just tap in if I want to use a shimmer shade as an accent out here in the outer corner. Same thing. I'm going to tap and press it in. So we're just tapping, tilt my head back if I need to see where my crease is. And just take, and then just do little tiny, if you want to blend, you can blend by just continuing to tap over. But if you wanted to blend a little bit quicker, just do little tiny upward strokes. Nothing that's too aggressive in the back and forth wipey. And you can build that up as little or as much as you want. And then finally, another great way to apply like shimmer eyeshadow or even this lighter shade in the middle of my eye, if I wanted to make that a little bit brighter, is to, again, use your finger and pick up your shades and press them on. When you press, especially if you have crepey eyelids. Crepey eyelids mean their eyelids are very thin, they've thinned out, and they are now, whenever you pull on them or drag something across them, it pulls everything, the whole eyelid moves with you. And of course, whenever you pull something over bumps, right? If you're pulling something or swiping something over bumps, you end up skipping. So I'm skip, and then it's not going to look even, and it's going to look, and you're not going to like it. So, CJ, this is Paris, which is just a matte pink shade. The brand is Saint, and then I don't know what the other color is. I'll look really quick. So I'm just going to use my lid to pop these out. I'm just going to take my lid, pop them out because they're magnetic. Pop this little guy out so I can build my own palettes, whatever I like. And this one is cranberry. And then I can, so you can build your own eyeshadows, which is so cool. And they just pop right back into my magnetic palette. All right, so that is how you can, whoops, I think I just got eyeshadow on my forehead, just really easily change some simple application and blending tips if you're struggling. If you're not, and what you're doing is great, then no, but this was more if you're struggling with your makeup and you're struggling with getting it to apply nicely, or it's over applying or whatnot, then try some of these techniques. Fingers, using a beauty blender, stippling or pouncing or tapping, whatever you want to call it, instead of swiping. And then, of course, using product not directly from the tube or from the wand, or even from its little palette or its tin, is to take this and apply it first to the back of your hand. And if you want to use it directly, full on, you can. And if it's too much, then mix it with like a sheer cream or a sheer balm of some kind, okay? And then we had a quick question, tips for drying cream applications. So drying cream, this cream will sit on top of your skin. So cream makeup sits on top of our skin. That's what gives us a very, a little bit more of a natural glowy finish. It looks, it's not seeping in and evaporating, but you just want to, when you're done, I like to use setting spray. So it's not wet, it's pressed into my skin, but if I want it to last longer, then, and not smudge, I'll use a setting spray, and I spray my face. So I'll show you how to do that really quick. I always shake my setting spray up very vigorously, and then when I go to use it, I always pump down vigorously. I don't do a dribble pump. You know what a dribble pump is? It's like when you just go, ee, and a little dribble comes out. So you want to shake it up, and then you want to hold it back, arm's length, and then you want to spray it on your face. let that dry. It looks, you know, much more shiny right now because my face is damp from the setting spray, but then let that dry and that helps set the makeup for the day. So I hope that's what you were asking about that. Okay, I'm gonna just stay on. I'm a half hour in and I didn't wanna go much longer than that, but I wanted to stay on and answer any questions. I will save this as a replay if you want to watch it or if you came on late. Let me just recap. We talked about how to apply your makeup if you're struggling with application, with things looking cakey or too heavy. Just do that, okay? And then just do the different application tips with what we talked about. Sorry, I'm all fumbly here. And then you can always message me or reach out to me if you have any other questions. Just send me a DM, I guess, a direct message, they call it, and let me know if you have questions. So, oh, I do have a quick question. Let me see here. Oh, I can't come to Bali. Sorry. All right. Yeah, I've never been to India. That would be really, really cool. All right. So if I missed any questions, I will go back. I'll be able to see them later and I will go back and I'll reach out to you and answer them for you. And then please let me know if I can help in any way. All right. Have a great day and I will see you next time.